So, hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a purple talk and just talk about gay news, gay relationships and all that jazz. So, stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. This is Margaux. This is Emily. And they're in a relationship and I'm third wheeling once again. As always, pretty much.
Yeah, at this point you're part of the couple.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it. But yeah, what do you think makes a gay relationship different from a hetero one? Do you think there even is a difference, or do you think it's just like?
I feel like it depends on the people. Like, it's not necessarily like gay versus straight. It's just different versions of different.
It's like
combinations.
It would
of
be
people.
the same if you dated like two different girls or two different boys. It's just different way of seeing things and thinking about things. And
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm just thinking if I would be to like a girl for the first time and I wouldn't know what a relationship with a girl would look like because we have less representation, what would I like to know, you know? Like, do you have something that you would tell your younger self when it comes to that theme?
I think it's just a matter of, like, if you feel like it is right, then you're gonna know that it's right. I feel like that applies to all relationships, so it's not really that big of a difference. It's probably more complicated if you're trying to figure yourself out as you are in a relationship, so both things are developing at the same time. But I think that's less of an issue with the relationship. It's more just a personal one where you are, like whether you've come out years ago and it's like that just happens to be your first relationship, or you've like never come out, or you came out like as you had that relationship. But there's all kinds of different combinations and they all impact it, so I feel like the individual situation is so different that you can't really say like this is what this relationship's going to look like. It really depends on you and that other person pretty much.
yeah. No, I fully agree because I had that problem more with my first relationship than I did with Emily, because then I was like an adult, like an out gay person. Whereas like when I had my first relationship when I was around 15, it was very toxic. We were both toxic to each other, and I think one of the main reasons was because we were both still trying to figure ourselves out. And you can't love someone if you
That's the gayest thing that you can say. Amen.
Can I get an amen up in here?
Yeah, sure, RuPaul.
Yeah. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? That's what she said.
I feel like a lot of the like cheesy quotes are actually true though. Like,
absolutely.
Like you kind of joke about it, you're like, oh, that's so cheesy, but I mean it is true.
Do you think that way though? Do you really think that if you can't love yourself, you cannot love somebody else? Because at the same time, when you learn to love other people, you learn to love yourself.
Yeah, but
I think you do, but if there's no baseline of loving yourself, then you can't take it in.
And I also think that it changes your relationship. The fact that you start loving someone and through that person you learn to love yourself, then you change because you start loving yourself. And there's a change in your personality and how you see things and how you do things. And ultimately it changes the relationship. And it might change the love that you have for the person.
Yeah.
So if like you can love someone if you don't love yourself, but to me not in the long run.
Yeah. I totally get that. When did you first realize that you were into girls or something that is not purely masculine?
I don't know. I think the actual like conscious realization. I don't know when the unconscious realization was. Obviously, I think that was long ago. But I definitely always had that feeling that in terms of relationships and crushes, especially at school, because people would talk about crushes so much, like, oh, I like this person, and like you make such a big deal out of it at school. and I was just like, I really don't care. Like, and that made me feel bad at the time because it's like everyone's talking about it. Do I make something up? Like what do I do with the fact that I really don't care and I don't know what to do? And I was like, I would literally look at people and be like, is this person attractive? No. And I do that for most people.
You're not attractive.
No.
Ew.
Emily seeing me the first time. Is this person attractive? No.
But I was trying to be like, I literally would try and pick a crush because I was like, I need to say something to
It makes me
people.
think of like Do It in Malcolm in the Middle, who's like killing people off. It's like, you live, you die. You live, you die.
It's because I had no personal like concept of it, so I was like, I need to find something to say to people. So I was like, I don't know who to pick, basically. But then I think in like the last 2 years of high school, I left the school I was in and the friends I had and stuff, made new friends, and that just automatically, I think because I was deep down I knew I was queer, or like I was already queer, so those like friendships with other queer people automatically developed. It was like a natural thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
And through that, then I found out that actually, there are people who actually don't have a guy crush. Like, wow, crazy. But it was just like the fact that no one ever like talked about it differently. I was like, oh, okay. And knew gay people existed, but I was just like, didn't have a concept for it, a personal concept for it. So I was like, okay, I guess that's how it works.
Yeah. For me, it was more like, because I came from a family where it was like fully okay to be gay. My mom, when she was growing up,
You sound like a phrase again. It's okay to be
It's
gay.
okay to be gay. Yeah. It made me sound like those like posters we have in Friends that says, "It's okay, my woman is gay," or something like that. And it was the most homophobic way to make like pride signs, and I was like, okay, fine. Anyway, I think for me it was more like, it was okay in my family, and I knew that because my mom had always told me about her friends that she had when she was like, well, my age now, when she was in uni and stuff like that, that she had like LGBTQ plus friends. And so I knew it was okay, but I think because I was in such like a rural area that had never seen someone that was gay or queer, and I was like in middle school, and primary school, that was like the thing to bully people with. It was like, oh my god, you were gay. And so I think like when I realized, because I realized pretty early on, I think I was like maybe like 11 or 12 that I was queer, but my brain was just like, I don't know what that is. I don't know, why do I feel so different, and why do I not understand why I feel different? And yeah, and ultimately it was just like, I think my brain just rewired and was like, oh no, you think you're queer to make yourself interesting to people.
I get that.
And that I was like lying about being queer. But I think when I moved to high school, because I was in a much bigger city, around so many queer people, that I was like, oh, I feel the same way they do when they talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that was when like it became like in my brain started to become
Yeah, I totally get that.
more okay.
How would you advise someone that is approaching someone from the same sex for the first time to like talk to them or like ask them out or like flirt with them?
I think just be yourself, because one thing I've realized that most people, not all of them, not like a generality, but most LGBTQ plus people are very open-minded and very like chill. So just be yourself. If the person doesn't like you, it's fine. It's like personal preferences, but don't try to make it a lie. But that's like an advice to give to like any people, even straight people. Is just like, it's useless to try to put up a front and like play a character, because at some point if you guys develop a relationship, that character will fade, and and you don't want that to happen. Like, you don't want the person to realize like halfway through the relationship, be like, you're not the same person I met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's easier to be yourself if you already know, like, have a community of queer people around you, or even just a few friends, because if you label yourself as anything other than straight, you have already gone through that process of like, who am I and that kind of thing, and you are automatically, I think, generally speaking, going to be more open because you've had to put yourself out there. Especially if you've outed yourself, even if you haven't, you've already gone through that internal process. So it's going to be, I'd say, generally probably less daunting to talk to someone about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's a potential like relationship interest.
I think one thing definitely to say is, if you are in a smaller community, then definitely try to find an LGBTQ plus community in some way, just so you don't feel like you're the odd one out and you can actually belong.
Yeah.
Like, we have so many gay friends here that it's kind of odd to be like, to be straight. But it's also odd to not really be okay talking about it, because everyone is so open about their sexuality. So I think that might be a shock to some people that come to Sterling or like come to a different place that is like super liberal, to see like, oh my god, this was such a big problem where I come from, and here it's like what food are you into? I'm into Chinese, I'm into Indian, and that's it. Like, it's literally such a chill.
Way to go for it. Okay, what do you like to eat?
Okay, but you know what I mean. It's just such a chill conversation to have, and like, you have so many sexualities. It's not even lesbian, bi, straight. You have
I think that's one of the
different
best ways to go about relationships and potential like thoughts about that kind of thing, is to just be like, assess how you're feeling regardless of what like identity that person has, pretty much.
Yeah.
If you like that person, think about why you feel that way and like how you actually feel. Maybe talk to people about it, and then you're gonna figure out what it is. I feel like if you strictly label yourself as one thing, some people it really helps. It helps initially, but as you sort of move on in life, I feel like it's just, it becomes more of a barrier over time.
Yeah,
Like you said, there's so many different ways to identify. It's really hard to find the right one, pretty much.
I went through that, like, especially through lockdown, because I've like labeled myself as lesbian my whole like out life so far, and then during lockdown and stuff like that, I was like, but am I like strictly lesbian? And I realized that no. So now just whenever someone asks me about my sexuality, I just say that I'm queer, because I don't have a proper label, and I'm not sure I want a proper label. So queer is just someone that fits.
Queer is such a nice label.
Globality.
I feel like queer is a comfort blanket of knowing, like, no matter what you are in some kind of way rainbow, and that is completely fine.
And to be fair, it's also like as you said, like security blanket, safety term, because homophobia within the queer community is very real. And sometimes saying you're queer just kind of like protects you from anybody within that community to like aim at you. Of course, if someone says something and you identify as the thing they've criticized, then you'll feel attacked, but it won't be like a direct personal like attack from the person.
Yeah.
And it's just as you said, like safety blanket.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the more you grow, the more you will understand that other labels might fit, that the label that you chose might not fit anymore, and you're something else. Like, I have so many friends that were like, okay, I'm gay, like, I'm lesbian, and they're like, I don't even identify as a woman, how can I be lesbian? And it's
don't get a tattoo.
Don't get a tattoo. Don't get a tattoo. Don't get a sexuality or a political tattoo.
Like generate enemies.
But like, so many of my friends are like that, or you think you're straight and then you date a person and that person comes out as non-binary or like trans, and then you sit there like, fuck. But love is so
Yeah.
ambivalent. Like it's everywhere, and it's so unimportant what you identify as long as you just own it. And I know that it's very hard to say, especially if you come from a conservative family or from that type of background, but like, it'll be fine. Like, when you grow up, you think the pond that you grew up in is the only thing that you will ever get, but once you move out, you know that there's so many possibilities, and there's so much to see in the world that, like, those little struggles were really unnecessary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of just part of the process. Like, every single relationship, or even if it's the same relationship for your entire adult life, it's going to be changing, it's going to be evolving, you're going to have different labels for things, you're going to have different ways to you feel about the person. It can't always be love, you can fall in and out of love, like it's just like go with the flow. I feel like that's the easiest way to, most efficient way to go through life, is just to take things as they are, figure them out as you go, and not worry too much about the future. As long as you have people there along the road who are supporting you and who you can talk to and that care about you and you know you feel cared about, then that's all you need pretty much.
Yeah. I
I
totally
agree with that. Don't
Yeah.
even think around.
And I would also say that there's no shame in love in general. Like,
Yeah.
I think that I actually struggled more with liking someone or loving someone in general than like with liking a woman or a non-binary person or like a guy. My problem was with like liking someone. Like, I was like, I don't do dating, I don't like people. And once I was confronted with that, I had a whole identity crisis. And I think it's so important to just allow yourself to feel things, because if you suppress things, they will come out in different ways. Anger issues are real. I'm looking at you and myself. Anger issues are real.
Mirror, mirror.
Breakdowns are real, and it's super unnecessary to go through that when you don't have to. So, like, just be chill.
That's your typical statement, it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
So-
Whipped cream, so unnecessary.
Whipped cream is unnecessary. It's just milk, air, and sugar.
That's
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Says the one who got vegan whipped cream on her like chocolate smoothie.
I mean, they had vegan whipped cream. I was not going to
it's so
say that.
unnecessary.
I mean,
It's so unnecessary, but I get it every time. But it's so unnecessary.
It is unnecessary. Okay, that was it for today. Thank you so much for Margaux and Emily for joining me.
Thank you for having us, Aysun.
Anytime. I had a great time. And see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.